Alright, so I'm going to cut the mortises next. And I know probably a sliding dovetail would be the best thing for this, but since it is square and I don't have any kind of jigs or even a router, an edge guide for my router, I've never even used a router table. I've got it and I'm planning on using it for this project, but I don't want to have to worry about figuring out sliding dovetails at this point. So I'm just going to stick with mortises. I think they'll be strong enough, especially since I'll have 4 legs and be more stable than just 3 legs. More stable than 3 legs. So I've got the leg that I drew here, and it actually happened to draw it exactly 2.5 inches where it connects to the post. So I'm going to draw the tenons to be 1/4 inch from the top and 1/4 inch from the bottom, which makes them 2 inches long. So that'll be easy enough, and then I'm going to make them 1/4 inch wide just because I have a 1/4 inch chisel. And I'll make the mortises as wide as the chisel because I'm going to be chopping them by hand, and I don't want to have to go any thicker. If I had a 5/8, I would do it that thick, but this is what I got, so that's what I'm going to use. So I drew the first mortise out. Got it 1 inch from the top, 2 inches long. So I just got to draw them out on the rest of the sides. I've already marked the top and the bottom. If you're like me and you don't have a vise for your table, you can take a scrap piece of wood and clamp it to the table with two clamps. I don't know if you can see them here. And then take your workpiece, put it up against the piece of wood. In this case I have a piece of poplar, and then a couple of quick clamps to clamp the workpiece to the poplar. And works good enough for me. It's kind of a makeshift moccasin vise. So it works. And before I get too far, which I forgot to do this, but I'm going to mark a 1/2 inch up on my chisel so I know where to stop. 1/2 inch. So there they are, 4 mortises cut. Took me about ½ an hour. And you'll notice they're not perfect. I mean, they are chopped by hand. The walls are a little rough. One thing I like to do right at the end before I'm done is to take a little depth gauge, or you can use a combo square, and set it to 1/2 inch or whatever the depth is, and just kind of put it in there and just run it up and down just to make sure you're flat, or at least a 1/2 inch all the way. And then if you got any high spots, you can just take your chisel and clean it up. So, big inspiration for cutting mortises for me by hand was Paul Sellers. If you go to his YouTube page, look him up. He's got, I know, 1 or 2 videos on how to chop mortises by hand. So I thought that was very encouraging. And the first one is always the hardest. But once you get going, the third, fourth one is a lot easier and it doesn't take as long. They're a little daunting at first, but I would encourage you, if you've never done mortises before, you don't have the power tools to do it, kind of like I do. I don't have the best equipment to do them by machine, so give it a try, and really they're not as hard as you think they are. So obviously you can see I was not supporting the workpiece on the cutoff side, so I wasn't thinking, I don't know why I did that, but it ended up snapping off a piece of wood at the bottom. So this is definitely going to be just a template, and also notice the scratches on the back, which I don't know where those came from either. So anyway, now I've got this cutoff piece. I'm going to trace it out with the jigsaw and then take it over to the drum sander on the drill press. So I've got it clamped in right here, as you can see, and I'm going to smooth out the curves somehow. I wish I had a spoke shave, but alas, I don't. So what I do have are these little curved pieces I got from a wind chime, an Asian wind chime. So I'm just going to take some sandpaper and wrap it around it and just try it that way. So there's the leg. It's not perfectly smooth, but I think it came out good enough with the equipment that I have. You know, with my super expensive top of the line 20-piece sanding drum kit, I was really able to achieve excellent results, but not really. So anyway, I'm going to use this one as the template, or the template, however you pronounce it, for the other four legs, or for the 4 legs that'll go onto the coat rack. Stick around, my friend.